Hi, everybody, and welcome to the session, Connecting with Business Gurus, how to build a science-based startup and remain a researcher. Before opening this session to speakers, I'd like to share an anecdote about penicillin. We all know Sir Alexander Fleming, who discovered it. But did you know that he first presented it in a publication in 1929 and received no particular attention or comment whatsoever? Even well into 1930s, his invention was largely dismissed due to the difficulties with isolating, purifying, and mass production of the compound. In fact, one of the two scientists who later helped develop the penicillin as an isolated compound said of Fleming, and I quote, "Good God, I thought he was dead." And despite all of that, Fleming never lost the motivation to make penicillin a revolution in medicine, even though it still took until mid-1940s and the great need caused by injured Allied soldiers for penicillin to become mass-produced. So what I want to say with all of this is there is no such thing as a scientist who succeeds on his own. It has been, and it still is a myth. In reality, creating a network of partners is necessary. This network and a team of various people then creates a path from idea to market. Some will say that this is easier in the 21st century. Others will say that with such fierce competition in science, commercialization is now harder than ever. How long do you think it would take now to commercialize penicillin? Today, we will listen to 4 experienced leaders of innovation support organizations on how to build a science-based startup and remain a researcher at the same time. And just before I give them the word, I'd like to encourage the audience to write your questions to them in the chat already during their presentations. There will be a Q&A at the end, but it's good if we have your questions before so that it's not all at the same time. So now for the speakers. As the first one to tell us his insights and experiences, I'd like to present Mr. Fabio Bianco from Bio for Dreams. Bio for Dreams offers tailor-made support programs and expertise specific to life sciences. Mr. Bianco, your background is in pharmacology, and you are the president of the company CSO Neurozone and the CEO of the Brain DTech. With more than 15 years in pharma, I'm sure you have many stories and tricks that can be helpful to our researchers. May I invite you to share some?
Thank you very much, Milona, and good afternoon to everyone. And thank you really for the very thoughtful words that you just mentioned about network and collaboration. So let me tell you a little bit. Let me share some of the experiences that we are running at Bio for Dreams, which is a collection of many different stories about entrepreneurs or scientists or wannabe entrepreneurs that are still keeping a foot in the laboratory while the other foot is at the desk managing an innovative, successful startup. Bio for Dreams is a certified incubator. We are totally privately owned. We are focused specifically on life science and in particular on the very early stage and seed phase of life science. What does that mean? It means that when the idea generation is being produced in the laboratory, that's the time when we want to interact with the company, working together, hands on the project, in the management, in the managing activities, structuring the project to the level that it becomes interesting for somebody on the other side, be it either an investor or a industry partner with whom to work together. And we do that by providing specialized services and also direct seed investment as operational seed investor on the project that are more of interest. This is a 20 years long story in which we have been working alongside with many different partners, also with some successful stories. One of the founders of Bio for Dreams, Laura Ferro, was a former successful biotech entrepreneur, taking a molecule out of a laboratory, making it into a biotech, all the way to the IPO at NASDAQ, and then sold the company to Jazz Pharmaceuticals. So important stories which have built up a lot of experiences that we would like now to transfer into the innovation hubs throughout Europe. This is a bit about our numbers. We are currently working with over 700 different startup projects. Not all of them are already incorporated. Many are wannabe incorporated. We have incubated 31 of them, and we are launching these companies also by providing some financial resources, but more than that, we are really working on providing the access to the right competences. That's because when a scientist decides that it's the right time for him to create a company because he has a good idea or has a good potential product or service, he finds himself immediately at the verge of a very complicated adventure where he's expected to master all the different expertise which are beyond these words. And many of them are not in his pipeline of competences, of course. There are many places where he can find all of this information, but that's really a waste of money and time. And while money can be founded, time is lost. And when you patent a technology, you don't have much time. You have to either kill it immediately if it doesn't work or if the market doesn't accept it, or speed up and partner and network as much as possible in order to take that idea further on and fast enough onto the market, or at least to a level that it becomes interesting for somebody. So this is exactly what we're trying to do at Bio4Dreams. Let me explain that more with this slide. So what you see on the top line, and I'm saying that as a former researcher in the lab, it's a scientist represented by the little car coming with its own pack of data. And whenever he gets some money, his comfort zone is that of producing more data, because that's what he's used to. That's exactly what we are expecting in the scientific community to get. You get more convincing, you are considered a reliable scientist if you publish your data. What happens? Well, if you go down that line, your project becomes too big to stay in a university lab, but it's completely destructured to be considered for an investment. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to catch this project early on, to work together with the management, to have the owners of the process be either a PhD, a postdoc, somebody waking up in the morning, thinking about that project, thinking about how to improve that project from their perspective, be it either scientific or technical expertise. And we try to build around it all the remaining missing pieces of information in order to reach those minimum asset thresholds, which are the turning point of the project. When can we really think that this scientific discovery can be transformed into a viable product for somebody to use it and to invest in it? And that's when we create the company. Along the process, there's lots of things to be done. There is we identify these three major pillars, one being the scientific and technology validation, the proof of concept experiments, which must be carried out also by independent laboratories. And here, for example, we have developed instruments like the shared laboratories. It does not make sense for a single company to have its own laboratory that they don't even have money to buy the instrumentation they need, while they only need it for a certain amount of time. So shared laboratories are a resource for them to access what they need when they need it. The most important one being the pillar of strategy and market. That's because working together, hands in hand, not in a consultant approach, but really having a role in the management and having responsibility on the project, we can support the scientists in understanding what are the missing parts of their game, what are the complementary activities, and who are the right partners with whom to develop this mission. And the third line is all the different backup activities which are needed in order to boost this. Let me give an example. In the grant activity, we have been applying in the former FP7 to over 30 projects with a 30% success rate and 54 million euro of research that has come across the significant results, which then became companies, which are now innovative startups going along. So there is an opportunity for transferring research into market businesses, but it has to be well organized and stratified. As I said, we also invest in the project, but we're looking for things which are more than the money we put in. We want to have a fit with the ecosystem. We want to have a significant role in playing the game with the scientists, but most importantly, we want to have a clear path in order to understand what is the most appropriate product or service to be brought onto the market. Not pushing the ideas to the markets, but rather have the market pull them and understand what is missing. And since we are not a venture fund, we are not looking for high risk, high gain project. We're looking for projects that meet a specific market need. Even if they are not growing fast, they are still important to bring into the ecosystem because they provide an expertise which is available for others. And as you can see, we are over 60 people, but none of them are on, not all of them are on the payroll of Buy4Dreams. Many of the resources that are in our team come from the single companies who are providing expertise, who are selling services to the other companies. That way, creating a common understanding and a lot of opportunities between the different companies. And that's really an added value. In our startup ecosystem, we have several different companies ranging from biotechs, therapeutic companies, diagnostic companies, companies working in agrofield tech, companies working in ICT for healthcare, medical devices. All of them have a strong research activity, and all of them have at least 1 or 2 postdoc level people running everyday research activity in the lab. But they also provide services, they're also developing products, and they do that in a strong interactive collaboration. Another aspect that I would like to state is the fact that this cannot be done on our own. The major problem that we are seeing in Italy, we have over 12 sites in Italy and we're expanding in Eastern Europe, is that it's very fragmented. And the same holds true for the ecosystem where we are at. We are currently present in Hungary, we're present in Poland, we have a strong collaboration with the University of Ljubljana. So we are trying to enter these Eastern European countries where we see an ecosystem that is very much fragmented like the one in Italy. Great science, great opportunities, even very good financing opportunities, but a lack of technology transfer culture. And many times these fragmented ecosystem are a problem because the market does not look at them, doesn't have them in the radar. So in order to create more synergy between these market opportunities, such as the pharma companies, and these innovative startups, we are creating a hub of ecosystems where each single innovation player can be put in connection with the others ecosystem. That way we can create opportunities. And let me present you one of those examples, which is Innovation Circle. Innovation Circle is a round table that positions itself right at the gate with the market. The problem in the technology transfer approach that we are experiencing in Central Eastern Europe is that many times research ideas come out of universities, clinical center or research center very early. They arrive at the desk of the technology transfer office very early. And there is a mismatch of communication between what the startupper wants and what, for example, the investor looks for. So what we're trying to do is boost this initial phase so that whenever they come out of this, they are ready to interact with the different players. And we have created tables such as Innovation Circle, where we take these different pharma partners around the table, we present projects to these tables. These executive partners make a gap analysis of what is missing, but they also say what they can provide to those projects. So if there is a startup that looks for some type of regulatory support, or they need to do a field test of their technology, whatever it is, they can rely on selected partners that can support them in this adventure. On the other side, each research center also represents a solution provider with their technologies, with their platforms, with their expertise. And you can see, for example, the University of Ljubljana is part of this ecosystem already. So the idea is that they can also be a combination of interest from the company side and interest from the innovative center side to collaborate on selected R&D and applied research project. So with that in hand, I leave the floor to questions. I'll be very happy to further support this initiative, and I'm very happy that you are organizing these festivals, because I think that making a common understanding on the fact that technology transfer, as you mentioned, is not a one game show, but it's a combination of different expertise, taking them to the market is key in order to create a critical mass that becomes interesting for investors and for market industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bianco. I think we will take our questions at the end. And let's continue with our second speaker, with Mr. Bekashi from EIT Health. Mr. Bekashi, are you with us? Can you join us?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Mr. Bekashi, you are managing startup recruitment and support for Start Awards and Startup Meet Pharma programs, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? How can a researcher from Slovenia join the activities of EIT Health Accelerator?
Absolutely, we'll do that. Just give me a second. I'm sharing my screen with you. Yes, just a moment. Wow, too much windows are open.
Yeah, I think we all know how that is in these days.
A minute, please.
Of course.
Yes, here it is.
Yes, we see it now. Thank you. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. I'm Tamás Békási, responsible for the accelerator portfolio of EIT Health within Central, Eastern, and Southern Europe. I just want to talk about, just really briefly, about EIT Health, what we are doing, and what are the early stage programs which can be applicable for you, first of all. And of course, I will talk about what type of challenges we are facing whenever we are talking about research, transferring research results to the market. So first, EIT Health is the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. We are under the European Commission, so we are a European agency, and we have only one. It sounds very great, but of course, it's a huge chunk. So we have only one target, is to accelerate the innovation performance of Europe. And within EIT, so this is our mother company, the target, of course, has been broken down to different industries, and of course, EIT Health is representing the health industry. Within EIT Health, we are standing in three different pillars. First, the campus, the second, the accelerator, and third, the innovation. Of course, under the campus, we are supporting different education programs all over Europe. You can imagine that from the simple training to the boot camp, till the MSc programs, we are supporting different type of education forms. Altogether this year, it's more than 70 different programs within Europe. Under the accelerator, of course, we are talking about startups and startup accelerator programs. Just this year, we had 16 different programs, and this is our official portfolio, but we do have different other cooperative models for accelerator programs. Just one of the latest in our region, so Central, Eastern, and Southern Europe, is Healthcare Lab with Roche. And if you are interested in, so I would highly encourage you to check out this program. But this is for MVP and prototype stage companies, so I will talk about it later on. But of course, we will highly focus on the earlier stage accelerator programs. So within the accelerator programs, we try to support startups in different ways. Yeah, we'll talk about it, how we are doing that. And as you can see, so between the pillars, the campus, accelerator, and innovation, we do have the transition phases. So whenever we have promising research projects coming out from the campus pillar, we try to deliver it to the accelerator portfolio, and we try to support those projects under the accelerator portfolio. And of course, this idea and approach is applicable between the accelerator and innovation projects as well. Because under the innovation pillar, we are supporting big consortium-based projects. So 3 to 5 years, X million euros amount of support we are providing for those projects. And of course, these consortiums consist of usually a multinational company, an academia partner, and sometimes startups as well. And year by year, we try to give more and more opportunities for startups within these consortiums. Especially, we created a program 2 years ago. It's called Startup Amplifier, where actually the consortiums are formulated by startups. So actually, the startups are challenged to create consortiums with multinational companies and academia partners, but the lead, so actually the consortium lead, is the startup. Of course, for the innovation projects, our partners, which is one of our strongest points, our partner network consists of more than 150 official partners, are the biggest corporates, so healthcare corporates in Europe, and also the biggest universities, healthcare universities in Europe. So usually innovation projects are led by them, and also startups can team up with them. You know, the geographical coverage, I wouldn't like to steal too much time from you. In a sentence, everywhere in Europe. So as you can see, we have regional offices all over Europe, and we do have an enforcement in Central, Eastern, and Southern Europe, which is, if you're talking about regionals, so if you're talking about Slovenia, if you're talking about other surrounding countries, it's a quite good news, because besides that we have our regional office here in Budapest, Hungary, we do have partners in every country. It's called RIS hubs, so Regional Innovation Scheme hubs. So actually they are official partners of ours, and they are representing us in each and every countries. Also Slovenia, of course, is part of that channel. And yeah, beyond Europe, so just in also one thought about it, we do have an office also in Tel Aviv, Israel, and also in the Silicon Valley. And of course, by these two offices, our main intention is to transfer the knowledge, because we are talking about two more major innovation ecosystem than not just in our region, but compared to the whole European ecosystem. So we have active team there, we have active cooperation with those branches, and of course for our startups we try to give more and more possibilities, not just to visit those two countries, but actually learn as many as possible. So just a quick overview, two numbers from our past. So 758 startups we supported, 248 million euros we attracted as an investment. How can we support? I know I'm time conscious, so I'll try to be fast as possible. So what we can provide for startups if you're entering into our programs. So first of all, knowledge. So education through boot camps, trainings, mentorships. We have our own mentoring and coaching network. It's called MCM, with more than 600 pre-filtered mentors. We do have matchmaking and networking opportunities. So actually in each and every program, we are organizing wide networking events where you can meet with investors, collaborative partners, researchers, professional cooperatives, so everybody who can help in your journey. And access to finance, so that's important that in almost each and every program we are organizing, we are providing some money, which is non-equity, non-share based. So you don't need to give any shares or equities back to us, but we are able to give you just a few thousands of euros. It's like, usually it's like 10, 20, or 30,000 euros maximum we can give you without any type of, it's not investment, so it's a smart funding. The maximum we can grant for a startup in a year is 50,000 euro from our code. But besides that, of course, we have investment opportunities as well. So we have our own investor network managed by Financial Institute in France. So that's a satellite organization for private investors. And we also have a common project, a joint project with the European Investment Bank. It's called VCOE, so Venture Center of Excellence. It's actually internal VC, so internal venture capital company within EIT Health. But moreover these, we have our informal network of investors. So actually we are keeping contact with hundreds of investors. So we can, of course, invite them, integrate to our networking events so they can meet with you. Just as a journey, so whenever you are coming out with your research project, we are already able to give you opportunities. But then if you are continuing your journey, we can help you to go into the skies. So actually through the validation and of course scale up and scale out phases. So first of all, what can be the most interesting for you, Jumpstarter as a program for you? So we definitely looking for projects here without having any company or any type of sales or any type of market presence. So here we are looking for teams with an idea. Of course, if you're a research team and you are able to already deliver a project, then it's even better. But here under Jumpstarter, we are giving you the knowledge about business capabilities. We are teaching you how to present yourself, how to create your pitch deck, how to make your value proposition. So all other basic stuff you need to do in order to commercialize your idea. And even better news that from next year, we have a special, let's say, add-on to the program, is a research entrepreneur match. So actually, this will be a joint initiative with Commercialization Reactor. Here, we are definitely looking for research projects, and our aim is to commercialize it. So as you can see, we will also work with local consortia of universities and incubators. So that's a joint program inside Jumpstarter. It's an add-on, which is definitely focusing on research projects. So if you're interested in, you will see my contacts at the last slide. Please let me know. Please find me on LinkedIn. And of course, I'm more than happy to give you further information on that. This is just a quick overview on Jumpstarter. I wouldn't like to steal your time because I definitely need to run ahead because I already used my 10 minutes. So sorry for that. But the most important thing is that if you are finishing Jumpstarter, so definitely whenever we are talking about Jumpstarter or later stage programs, and I already mentioned education. So you need to know that the majority of our educative content is focusing on business capabilities, because our experience and view is that as healthcare professionals, you are excellent what you're doing. So you definitely need more knowledge on the commercial side, on the business side, in order to start your engines on the market. So this is what Jumpstarter is doing. And if you are continuing a journey and having an MVP or prototype, you can come to Innostars Awards as the next step. So every year we have a new program for you. Yes, Polona, please.
Thank you, Mr. Bekashi. I know it's very difficult to tell everything that you do at EIT Health, but I will have to introduce the next speaker, and I can confirm that EIT Health is very open to all sorts of collaborations. Please do reach out to him or even to us, and we can connect you further.
Last slide.
Yes, that's important.
Thank you. I will share my screen. I'll share my presentation with you further on.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bekashi.
Thank you.
Please stay for the Q&A. And let's move on to our third speaker, Mr. Nikolai Adamovich from Commercialization Reactor. Mr. Adamovich, welcome. You and your team connects scientists, startup founders, investors, and industries, right? How does this process work? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, I have very nice cartoon, but I will show if we will have time with it. So let me share my screen, and let me start. So yes, we join scientists with entrepreneurs. It's a long story short, and who we are. We are a science commercialization platform where some deep tech startups created around 20 startups per year with current our facilities. And most and very important, our uniqueness is we unite non-entrepreneurial researchers and non-tech entrepreneurs. This is very, very, very important. We do it already 12 years. And also we have such important tool as venture capital pre-seed and seed funds under our management. We invest into newborn startups as well. Couple of words. More than 100 startups were formed. More than 50 still going and survive. We partner with more than 50 universities and so on and so on. This is our portfolio. You can easily find it on our website. But all of them have scientific part, science as co-founder. But all of them, I mean scientists, they stay in their labs, in their universities. Also, couple words during last year, we already have 2 projects with you guys. One project started with the scientific team from University of Ljubljana. With scientists, they produce not produce, still develop business based on beneficial bacterium for growth promotion and disease prevention. Another one, it's Chemijski Institute, maybe I'm wrong in my pronunciation, but two scientists as well from Ljubljana found with our support entrepreneurs, and this is biodegradable plastic for usage. This is already existed history with the Slovenian scientists as well. Okay, about commercialization. You know, it's not about science, to be honest. It's mostly about business and how to turn scientific achievements into operating business with revenue. For that, it's everything about market, about transformation, scientific development to products. You know this TRL, and very important to understand what should the university and scientists do when they reached third or fourth TRL level in each development, and what to do next, because it's you know, there is a value of death, no still in interest from industry, but no money from public resources. What to do? And because it's a business case to move from fourth TRL to more, when it's become interesting for industry, you have to do something. Is it possible to scientists to be the scientists to make commercialization and still remain successful scientists? Very difficult. Why? Because it's not again, it's not about to develop science. It's about to develop business case. It means it's entrepreneurial task. So we defined 7 tasks on this way. It's first, it's creativity and application funding, and I will explain a little bit later on some specific case. We work very close with technology transfer officers from university, and we unite again non-entrepreneurial scientists with non-scientific entrepreneurs. What does it mean, non-scientific, non-entrepreneurial scientists? It's people who recognize that they have no time for that. Might be they have talents even, might be they have even success stories and even startups, but they recognize that for this particular startup or commercialization of this idea, I have no time and efforts and so on, and I need somebody to be my partner. So let me give you such a case with Canelum Biotech. It was started in Riga Technical University. This gentleman, Professor Talis Jukna, leading scientists, and he and his colleagues, they developed microbiological test to detect pathogens in water. But the TRL was number 4, and what to do? It's impossible to sail on this stage. This technology, it's impossible. It should be developed further. But to develop by himself, it's everything, as the previous speaker said, it's about contacts, it's about network, it's about discussions, and so on and so on. It's really, really painful. So, external entrepreneur. And this entrepreneur started to decide first entrepreneurial task. First hypothesis was to detect pathogens in water, but in reality, no market, no attractive market, I can say, for that, and immediately there was pivot in scientific terms, and methodology was adjusted to how to detect pathogens in dairy products, because difference neutral environment water and organic environment like this. Sorry, this explains no real need and pathogenic bacteria in dairy product. Problem was identified in this industry because, these petri dishes where all pathogens can grow, and necessity to spend for that from 2 to 4 to 5 days. It's not accepted in reality for many cases. And solution was that. Okay. Second, customer development, a lot of visits, result, requirements for solution. New challenges. Solution has to have more feeds, and to get TRL8 it's quite difficult. Additional development and additional team, because solution was in microbiological field, but in optics, artificial intelligence, neural nets, it should be done. Fundraising, it's non-stop activities for that. More than €1.5 million, around €1.5 million was attracted during development. Product development from TRL4 to TRL6 and 7 done. And you can see currently how it works is a high-end microscope, high-end neural network, and so on and so on. To constant interaction with industry, absolutely necessarily, and a lot of response from top-rated companies around, and exit, of course, working on it. So benefits for R2 clear, benefits for scientists, for university licensing agreement, a successful story, positive impact on reputation, collaboration, and Canelo Biotech became part of ecosystem of university. For Professor Yukhna, everything, he's still in science, he participates in some very important technical decisions, but he doesn't care about business. And let me, thanks to Tamas, yes, we plan to expand, to apply what we did in our country with a new project with EIT, where university will be involved, business incubator or accelerator also will be involved, and Slovenian entrepreneurs we will try to combine with scientists, but not only Slovenian, but from many countries, and all this flow will go to Jumpstarter, and then. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Adamovic. I'm sure that everybody can reach out to you for further questions. I'm going to move very fast as we are running a little bit behind, and I'm going to invite Mr. Jakub Gajšek from Ljubljana University Incubator to tell us a little bit about how they connect researchers and business. Please, Jakub.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be relatively brisk. So what I'll be talking about today is our program called Labs to Market. But first, I want to start with the reason why we did this, right? We talked about, kind of technology transfer and so on, but why does it matter so much? This is the point of this event after all. So why are spin-outs important? I'm going to pitch you now in a couple of minutes the reasons why I believe that spin-outs are crucial for European future, right? Europe is fantastic in science, but there's not much when it comes to follow-up, right? In terms of articles published, Europe is leading before the US or China, despite not spending as much as they do, which means, we're efficient, we publish the most, we don't spend the most. But there is a big but when it comes to this. What happens then? What happens with all this fantastic science once a paper is published? So when we started researching this, we spoke with a lot of researchers, and when you ask them, why do you do research? The answers that come up are something like this. It's fun. It creates an impact. It answers the big questions in life. You follow a vision, right? You pursue knowledge, something really specific and really unique. And after all, also an important thing is freedom. So when when we talked about this, this got us thinking. But let's go back to the other question. What happens after a paper is published? Well, usually this does. It gets stored somewhere, never to be seen again by the light of day. And that is really, really unfortunate, because cupboards like this store so much value. So we decided to do something about it, following our path that we see is the best, because we believe that some scientists can be entrepreneurs, not even can, should be entrepreneurs. Why? After all, anybody who's ever worked with scientists and with startups knows that basically lean startup is just using different expressions for what scientists do every day already. You know, it's building a hypothesis, measuring results, learning from it, and then building a better hypothesis. So if you find the right people, we reckon, you can create great companies also from scientists. And actually, it may be a better way of continuing your scientific career even. Of course, it's not for everybody, but for some, it's excellent, because not everybody will continue in science. The academic career is, the academic pyramid of progression is very steep. You know, there you have one senior researcher and a lot of juniors. So a lot of these people will go and be in industry, or they can continue their research and build something fantastic. And if they really want to see the impact of the research they're doing, also the more senior people, take it to the market. I mean, see it live, right? Though it is hard to do it alone. That's why we created Labs to Market. We created a program that matches scientists and entrepreneurs, but scientists that are at least thinking about going and doing it themselves. So can this work? We haven't been doing it for a very long time, like some of the other speakers today, but so far the results have been very promising. How does it work? We scout researchers, see if they're ready, get buy-in also from the boss, so from the senior researchers also, and from the management of the university. Get entrepreneurs that they apply themselves to specific challenges, so that the researchers that are setting the challenges, and they pitch their ideas to the researchers. Then we prepare, basically brief both how it is to work with the other side, get them in a room together or in a Zoom call together to get to know each other, and then we do a zoom out, see what this technology could be. And then in the creation phase, we get them starting to think like a business, do a zoom in, find the best, out of all the opportunities that could be addressed, find the best ones, do customer discovery, and then hack things together with the help of mentors and quite a long training program. We have the goal of creating a company. And despite not having run it for a very long time, we ran 2 programs in the last year. We work with 9 research teams and 9 entrepreneurial teams. We gained a lot of new knowledge, but most importantly, we created 2 new spinouts. One of them is already incorporated and doing the IP transfer now. The other is very close to incorporation. So I believe the statistic is pretty good. We scouted a lot more teams, but we learned quite a lot also through this. What has been our have been our lessons learned? The research really has to be ready. The messaging has to be clear. In the beginning, we were talking about, oh, let's do a little bit of market research, but then we said, no, we want to create spinouts, and that's what we are now setting out, and also that we are looking for entrepreneurs rather than students, which we're doing at the beginning, which wasn't the best approach, but now we're getting people who have industry experience or entrepreneurial experience and want to apply themselves to this particular scientific challenge with the scientists together. We learned also that getting pre-made or entrepreneurial teams that know each other already is very good. And also we're really looking into how we can bring in also funding. We'd like to thank at this point the University of Ljubljana TTO. It wouldn't be possible without you. Thank you very much. But at this point also, I would like to take the opportunity to invite other TTOs. We are opening up Labs to Market next year. We're already starting scouting. So join us in 2022 if you have researchers that want to maybe do it themselves or at least explore the option. We have a pretty good program. It's a lot of fun. And if you have any questions, please shoot me an email. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jakob. As our new session is starting in a minute, I want to be very brief and just put out one question from the audience, and that is, what is the role of researcher in startups? Any of you in a very short answer before we invite everybody to our R&B sessions that are starting now.
Maybe I can take a lead on that and say that from my perspective, the role of the scientist, the guarantee of the success of the project. And in order to answer also the other question that came across, I don't care whether that person in the company is the CEO, the chief scientific officer, the chief technology officer, the business developer. It has to be the role that he feels better in, but it has to be the guarantee that that project, which will need to go through session of iteration and optimization process, will go on onto that path. Everything else around it can be created, but the owner of the process, the scientist, the wannabe entrepreneur, has to be there and has to guide that process forward.
I think that pretty much summed it up. I think most of the panelists would agree. And I have to wrap this up. Please reach out to our speakers if you have questions left, or to us, and join us in the next session that is starting right now, the R2B sessions in parallel. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully see you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.